This is part 3 of our new teaching that we're doing on faith and how faith plays a role in our receiving our healing. And we've already talked about what faith is. We gave the definition, the scripture definition of what faith is. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. It's the evidence or proof of things not seen. In other words, it's as long if you're waiting to feel better, if you're waiting to see that you're better. In other words, if you're using your 5 physical senses to determine if you're healed or not, that's really not what faith is. That's just evidence. Now, I'm not saying that you would not know that you're healed if you felt better or whatever. But see, your evidence or your faith has to be based upon what the Word has to say, because that's what faith really is. It's evidence that you attain to, and that you have a knowing, that you know that you're healed simply because of what the Word declares to you. And see, that's really what scriptural faith is all about. And that's a hard thing for a lot of people to grasp hold of, because they're so used to their receiving all the information or knowledge they have through their 5 physical senses. And because of that, they only believe things they can see or feel or touch or whatever. And, I've already shared with you that the Messiah, Mashiach, said in regard to even prayer, he said that what things soever you desire when you pray, believe that you receive them and you shall have them. In other words, the having comes after you believe. You have to believe first before you have them. So many of us want to have it and then we'll believe it. But see, that's not what faith is about. There's no reason for you to even having to believe it then, because you have it. There's no sense using faith when you have something now. Faith is something in the spiritual realm that we use in order to bring from the spiritual realm into this natural realm. And if you're desiring physical healing in your body, then if you're going to receive it from our Creator, and if you're going to receive it through faith in His Word, then you've got to be able to see it first. You've got to see that it's His will for you to be made whole, for you to be well, and then you can, from that point, once you're convinced of that, beyond a shadow of a doubt, then you're in a position of releasing your faith. And that's what I'm here to share with you further, of how to release your faith and help to identify what really faith is and what it's not. I'm going to read this afternoon from Hebrews chapter 3, and we're going to try to spend some time in chapter 3 and chapter 4. We probably won't get through this in this segment. We'll probably have to continue on our next few that we do to get all that I want to share with you here. But just to brief you before I read some of these verses here, in the book of Numbers, chapter 13 and 14, if you want to go back and read through that, especially, say, chapter 14. But what it's about is when Yahuah had promised, Moses to lead the children of into the promised land, into Canaan, the land that he had promised them when they were coming out of Egypt. Moses sent out Joshua, who we know as Yahushua, the son of Nun, not the Mashiach, but the son of Nun, Joshua, or Yahushua, and Caleb. They were sent out with the other spies to spy out the land and to bring a report back to Moses. Now, Yahuwah had already told them that it was a land flowing with milk and honey, and that it was be a land of prosperity for them, and so forth. And if you go back, or if you haven't read this, then you'll need to read it. But just trying to give you an update on it. But they come back, and some of the spies, they have a bad report. They say that that the land is just like Yahuwah said. It's a land flowing with milk and honey. But he said that they say that there's giants in the land, and we are as grasshoppers in their sight. They're in other words, I'm paraphrasing this a little bit, but they're essentially saying that we can't take the land. We don't, there's giants there that we would be defeated. And then Joshua and Caleb, the only two that really had faith and trust in Yahuwah, because Yahuwah had told them that every part of that land that you put your foot on, I've already given it to you. In other words, see, their faith was to believe that Yahuwah what he's already told them, that the land was theirs. Just go possess it. Now, see, that required them to believe to not believe what they actually saw, but to actually believe what they heard from Yahuah. Yahuah told them that that was their land. Go possess it. So, if and Joshua and Caleb tries to tell them that it's just like they say, there's giants in there, but we're well able to overcome them. They were speaking faith. They were not speaking doubt and unbelief as the others were. And if you read through that story there, you'll find that it displeased Yahuah quite a bit. In fact, those that had given the evil report and those who believed that, they died off. They never entered into the promised land. And we're going to see here as we read through Hebrews chapter 3 and 4, this is brought out about that aspect of it. Now, in verse 10 it says, Hebrews chapter 3 verse 10, it says, "Wherefore I was grieved with that generation." He's talking about the generation that was rebellious toward Yahuah, who did not believe what he said, and said, "They do always err in their heart, and they have not known my ways. So I swear in my anger," or my wrath, "they shall not enter into my rest." Then it says, "Take heed, brethren, lest there be in any of you an evil heart of unbelief in departing from the living Elohim." In other words, take heed. He's given us an exhortation. He's warning us as believers. This was written to the Hebrews. This was written to the Yahudim. "Take heed, brethren, lest there be in any of you an evil heart of unbelief." Unbelief is a terrible thing to have, because, in other words, we're caught. And essentially, what we're saying is that we don't believe and trust that Yahuah is telling us the truth, or we don't believe His word. In other words, we believe our circumstances more than we believe and trust Yahuah. It says, "But exhort one another daily while it is called today, lest any of you be hardened through the deceitfulness of sin. For we are made partakers of Mashiach if we hold the beginning of our confidence steadfast unto the end. While it is said, today, if you will hear His voice, do not harden your hearts as in the provocation. For some, when they heard, did provoke, howbeit not all that came out of Egypt by Moses. But with whom was he grieved 40 years? Was it not with them that had sinned, whose carcasses fell in the wilderness? And to whom swore he that they should not enter into his rest, but to them that believed not? So we see that they could not enter in because of unbelief. What he's saying here is that that generation that refused to believe Yahuah, they were not able to enter the promised land because they did not believe what he said. And the writer of the book of Hebrews is exhorting us to don't fall after the same example of unbelief as they did. He's encouraging us to not to do that, because what will happen is the promises that Yahuah has made to us as well, we will not be able to partake of them if we follow that same example that they did through unbelief. Well, I'm going to have to stop here, and we'll pick this back up on our next session. And thank you for joining us. Please share this with others. Please put it on Facebook. And also, if you're not a subscriber to my YouTube channel, it's called Proclaiming Yahuah. And I'd encourage you to find it and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you'll be alerted of all the new teachings that we'll be doing, and we continue to foresee that there's going to be a whole lot more of information and teaching that Yahuah wants to bring out, and so I encourage you to do that. I love you. Yahuah loves you, and look forward to our next session together. Shalom.